What's up, guys? TJ here from Hyper Coliseum, and today I'm going to be bringing you my Pulsemon deck profile. You guys might have seen this list a little bit on the channel. You also would have seen it a little bit in the short. It has changed a fair bit, so I'm going to be going over those changes and how I think the deck works and how I think it fits into the format. And I think it actually has a decent chance now with everything slowing down with Pulsemon getting hit. Before we get into that, though, just, a little bit of a reminder. If you haven't already liked the video, do that. Give us a little thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to us and you're watching this, you should sub. Almost 60% of you guys that watch our videos aren't sub. That's crazy. You're coming back. You're watching us. Hit the sub button. Supports us, and you get, good old daily content with Digimon goodness of deck profiles, commentary, all that stuff. And if otherwise, all of our other links are down below, our TCG player affiliate link and everything like that. And if you want to become a channel member and see these videos early, do it. You should. Go for it. You know what? We got more member benefits rolling out as time goes on, as we get more and more members. And we're just starting off with these sort of member first deck profiles. But otherwise, to everyone else who gets to see this a little bit later, howdy do. And welcome to the profile. So, Pulsemon. Pulsemon is a very interesting deck. It's very neat. It's very cool. It's very, it likes the dialogue. It likes the back and forth. It has good tools with DP reduction as well as security manipulation. It has actual just straight up deletion as well. It has a lot of it can actually have decent protections too against DP reduction and Digivolution, which are like two of the biggest things right now in the format, aside from bounce. So, I think it's got a decent chance. It can be very, very fun. And my list is, I'm trying not to use any of the Take Mikazuchi Fenry stuff. I'm trying to just keep it like as pure pulse as I can. So yeah, so without further ado, let's jump right in. So, starting off, we run 4 of the new BT-17 BBmon. This egg is phenomenal. Being able to just gain a memory when an effect places a Tamer card in your sources is great. I mean, every time you mind link, it's just +1 memory. So when you're pairing this with like your new BT-17 Leon, you gain a memory start at main phase, and you can gain another memory by teching it under. It's just a plus. It's good. It's just good. But that's it for the eggs, just 4 of those bad boys. Moving on to the rookies, I run 4 copies of the BT-16 Pulsemon. This is just a fantastic searcher. Reveals top 4, grabs 1 card with Pulsemon in its text, and 1 card with Abaddon Electronics in its traits. Which is phenomenal. It's just a double hit. You're able to very easily cycle and search your deck very quickly. Almost everything except for like 3 cards has Pulsemon in text. And then all of the green line, as well as the Pulsemons themselves, have Abaddon Electronics, except for this next Pulsemon, which we're going to get into, which is the promo Pulsemon, one that was also in a judge pack as well. Where on play, if you have 3 or more security, draw 1. If you have 3 or fewer, gain 1. So it can potentially be a draw and a memory gain, or it's just one or the other. It's either consistency while you're, still doing well, or it's maybe a little bit of a pick-me-up that you might need, later on if your security's getting a bit low. And something to note too, almost all of the low end, except for that promo Pulsemon, have all turns while you have Pulsemon attacks, you get +1 KDP. So your stacks are more often going to be, at least 13, hopefully 14 or 15k with Kazuchi, or 1 plus that to Shroud. So we'll get into that though. And then rounding out our rookie lineup here, the best boy, our BT-17 Pulsemon. He is gas. He's so good. So start at your main phase, you can place Leon from your hand as its bottom Digivolution card, and if you have 3 or more security cards, you gain a memory. So that can pair with the BB to just +2 right there. And then on top of that, otherwise, if you have 2 or fewer security, you recover 1. So he's means of keeping you in the game. He can keep you alive, keep you going strong. And that's great. That's what you need. Being able to keep your security like at 3 or just below is like what you keeping your security at 3, not just below, rather, is perfect. That's what you want to do. But that's it for the 3s. Moving on to the 4s. We run 4 copies of BT-16 Namakemon. So he has an on-play and 1 Digivolving, which is really good. Which if you have 3 or more security cards until the end of your opponent's turn, one of your Digimon can't have its DP reduced by your opponent's effects and isn't affected by the Digivolve effects. Then if you have 3 or fewer, one of your Digimon gains blocker and reboot until the end of your opponent's turn, and then he has the same inheritable. So he's a 4-drop level 4, which is already really good. The fact that you can have DP reduction and Digivolve protection, as well as giving blocker and reboot potentially if you're at that 3 security, just is insane. That's so many keywords that you just shove onto that, or keywords and protections rather. And like I was saying, DP reduction is huge right now still, with like Heavens moving around and other stuff like that. Take Mikazuchi even too. So it's just very good. And on top of that too, it doesn't have to be him. He on plays, he just targets one Digimon with it. So you're very he can be very versatile with other plays that you can make with like your Climon or just even hard dropping him even. So but yeah, so he's 4 of. And then we run 3 copies of BT-17 Runnermon. So this one initially I only had it 2, and then after playing that local and some other test matches, this Runnermon is actually kind of crazy. So if you have 3 or more security cards, you suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. This is an on play and when Digivolving again. And then if you have 3 or fewer, you gain a memory. So this puts you in a position where you're able to suspend things early to hopefully maybe control the board a little bit if you need to. On top of that as well, you also will just gain a memory later on. So if you like spit this out again off of Climon's effect, you can just gain a memory off of it after evoing into Climon, which makes Climon like a 2-cost evo or something like that. Like, it's just really good. It's just a really, really good card. And also being able just to suspend something is, it's helpful. So that's it for that guy though. And then rounding out our level 4 lineup here, we have the new BT-17 Bulkmon. I love this guy. The art is so cool. I love this art so much. He has 1 Digivolving. If you have 3 or more security cards, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 3,000 DP for the turn. If you have 3 or fewer, suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. So it can just be very early kind of like control against like Floodgate rookies, or just like if there's like Ukos on the board and stuff like that. And then, if you're at that 3 or less, then you'll be able to suspend something as well, which is, it pairs really well. It gives you like constant means of suspending things between it and Runnermon on top of your other cards that you have. And then something to note, with all of these cards, you're going to notice, oh, all these cards are different colors. How do they evo? Well, everything evos over anything with Pulsemon and text for, its usual cost of that level Digimon. So, like, Namake goes over a pulse for 2, Runner goes over a pulse for 2, Bulk goes over a pulse for 2. You don't have to evo for 3. You can choose to evo for 3 if you want to choke your opponent, though. That's something always to consider. But all these cards, they evo over anything with Pulsemon and text, and the entire deck revolves around things having Pulsemon and text. We'll get around to that in a little bit towards the end of the video, though I have some thoughts about that stuff. But moving on to level 5s, we have 2 copies of BT-16 Shootmon. Shootmon, initially I was not running, and then after playing, I was like, you know what? Shootmon kind of went crazy, because the Digivolve is still really, really strong if you have 3 or more security. It's on playing when Digivolving as well, something else to keep in mind. So you can do this to like possibly like de-Digivolve like an ace card and then like gain 3 or 4 memory, and he becomes a 3 or 2 drop level 5, which is crazy. But anyways, so if you have 3 or more security, you de-Digivolve 1, and then which is one of your opponent's Digimon. If you have 3 or fewer, delete one of their Digimon with a play cost of 6 or less, which is also really good. So you can potentially, if you're at 3 or fewer security, you can play this, de-Digivolve something, and then it's like realistically the only level 5s you pop normally will be like Mastermon level 5s, or in this case like himself. He can pop himself if you Digivolve like their level 6 down to a Shootmon. You'll do that. But otherwise it's still really good. You can get more control. So many things in the game right now spit out low play cost bodies onto the board, so it's just another means of just kind of getting around that. Moving on from him though, we run 3 copies of BT-16 Climon. This card is gas. This card's really good. So it's only one Digivolving. If you have 3 or more security cards, draw 2 and trash 1 card in your hand. If you have 3 or fewer security cards, you may play one Digimon card with Pulsemon in its text and 6,000 DP or less from your trash without paying the cost. At the next end of your opponent's turn, delete it. So this means you can play out all your level 4s as well as your Shootmon as well for free after evoing into Climon. So you can, there's a lot of cool combos with this where you can evo Climon, play out Namake, gain protections, or gain block or reboot. You can evo Climon, play out Runnermon, suspend something, gain a memory, or just gain a memory, if it's later on. You get the idea. There's lots of different combos you can do, but the Shootmon combo is one of my favorites, where you just Climon, play out Shoot will de-Digivolve something, and then possibly pop something if you're at 3 perfectly. Which is really nice. Now, if you are running like Take Mikazuchi package, this guy's you want a 4 of him because he's like your only real means of trashing Take Mikazuchi in your hand, basically, and you need him in trash if you want to do the whole hard drop Fenry DNA stuff. But I run him at 3 because I don't run Take, so something to keep in mind. Moving on from him though, rounding out here, we run 3 copies of the BT-17 Boutmon. So he is an all turns effect of once per turn. When this Digimon would leave the battle area by an opponent's effect by trashing the top card of your security stack, prevents it from leaving. That's good. Just a very good protection. As long as you're not getting hit in battle, you're chilling. All turns once per turn when an effect and then it combos or something though. But so all turns once per turn when an effect trashes from your security stack, this Digimon with Leon Alexander and its Digivolution cards may Digivolve into a Digimon card with Pulsemon in its text and without paying the cost. So basically this means that you can like swing with this guy. If you have barrier, which all of your Leons give you barrier, you can, if you would like die in the security battle or in the security battle, pop, or even if they block you, pop, purge a card from your security, Evo into Kazuchi or Shroudmon for free. If they attempt to delete you with an effect on your turn and you purge that security to keep your stack protected, pop, go into Shroud or Kazuchi for free. Again, it's a very, very good card. It's very, very nice. Unfortunately, there is lots of other means of removal, so since DP reduction is so big right now, it tends to sort of fall short a little bit more than we would like it to. And Digivolve obviously also gets around it too, which is tough, but it still is very good. And all the level 5s have the same inheritable, where end of attack, if you have Pulsemon attacks, you can trash top card of your security stack to go ahead and unsuspend this Digimon. So that's why I didn't go over that earlier, because it's all the same. It's the same thing. But it's all good. It's if you didn't have that, you definitely would not win games, because you need some form of aggression, because this deck does not have much aggression, unfortunately. It's very much a control deck. But it just sort of plays the game, and then eventually you get a board wide enough where you just go and just start popping things. But moving on from level 5s to level 6s. We run 6 level 6s total. We run, first off, 2 copies of BT-17 Shroudmon. I love this guy. His alt art is probably one of my favorite arts in the Digimon TCG right now. It's just so cool. He has when Digivolving, end of attack once per turn. If you have 3 or more security cards, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 7,000 DP for the turn, which is it's pretty alright. It's pretty cool. And then if you have 3 or fewer, delete one of their unsuspended Digimon. That's the nicer part there. Now, keep in mind, a lot of your cards will suspend opponent's Digimon, so you need to play around that in a way. You need to be very mindful of it. But the minus 7k is big. That usually pops most level 5s in the game right now. For whatever reason, most level 5s, the Bandai I've been making, are usually sitting at 7,000 DP rather than 8,000. Like they kind of used to, where that seemed to be more of the staple before. And then on top of that, now you also get to delete something that's unsuspended, which is really good because of how much Reboot is making a sort of a bit of a comeback in the meta right now. A lot of people will sort of opt to not swing and wait for that perfect turn, so they'll leave themselves unsuspended. So it's just a nice way to kind of deal with those things. And then he has all turns. When this Digimon will leave the battle area by an opponent's effect, if you have 3 or more security cards, by trashing the top card of your security stack, prevents it from leaving. So that's also pretty good. You very easily can sit at 3 or higher security with this deck. So you can constantly kind of recycle his protection pretty well. And then if you would be deleted, so on deletion, you recover 1 until there are 3 cards in your security stack. So if you are for some reason really low on security and you can't protect him, and if he gets deleted, you just recover all the way back up to 3, which is perfect for all of your other effects to sort of pop off. So very good card. 13 KDP base is nothing to laugh at. His only kind of, it's hard because he's a 5 cost Evo regardless of whether you have Pulsemon in text. He doesn't really care. So, which is fine. It's, I don't think it would have busted the game if he was Evoing for 4 over a Pulsemon in text. He's a good card, but not that insane. But, it's still very powerful, and he's probably our best alternate top end that we can realistically use all of our inheritables with and everything else, and is searchable in the deck. Moving on from him, though, our bread and butter, our main boy in this deck is the new BT-17 Kazuchimon. So, I was not a believer. I thought this card was doo-doo caca. But then after reading it like over and over and like convincing myself and like playing it, really, he's gas. He's actually really good. So when Digivolving, you suspend one of your opponent's Digimon. If Leon Alexander is in this Digimon's Digivolution cards, all of your opponent's Digimon get Sec -1 until the end of their turn. So it's a blanket Sec -1. So it's kind of like Venus in that sense, where it's really, really good. It can slow down opponent's aggression, especially with all the blue decks right now that don't have Sec +1 oftentimes. They're halted. They're stopped. They can't do anything. And then has a little bonus, and also something else to keep in mind. He Digivolves for 4 normally, but Digivolves over level 5 with Pulsemon and text for a cost of 3. So he's a pretty easy level 6 to get into. He's not too expensive. Anyways, but moving on from that, end of turn, or end of your turn, once per turn. If you have 3 or more security cards, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 6,000 DP for the turn. If you have 3 or fewer, recover 1. Then one of your Digimon may attack an opponent's Digimon. So a lot of times what I'll end up doing with this guy is I will Evo into him suspend something on my opponent's side of the board. Usually I'll be at like 3 or 4 security at this point when I get into him, if there was any early chip going on. And then end of turn, I'll just minus 6k on that body. And then if I'm at 3 or 4, I'll recover 1. And then I'll go ahead and I'll just swing at the body that I just suspended and minus 6k on. So he's very, very good at dealing with people's Digimon like towards end of turn. And the fact that it's an end of turn effect, the longer he's out there, he just keeps gaining value, right? He'll keep minusing 6k on something, which can be very good pseudo board control. He'll keep recovering if you're too low, and then he can keep attacking things as well. Like it's like, you know, you don't have any piercing in the deck, unfortunately, but you don't super need it. You can just keep doing that and keep, you know, just controlling things and keeping your opponent at bay. So he's a fantastic card, phenomenal. Unfortunately, his inheritable, which is all turns once per turn when a card is removed from your security stack. If this Digimon has Fenrir Lugumon in its name, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 8,000 DP for the turn. It's a great effect. It never comes up for me though. I don't run Take Mikazuchi like I said. So if you're someone who runs that, obviously it's a very good inheritable to have because it's an all turns effect that can punish people if they check your security while you have Take Mika on board. But it doesn't exist in my deck basically. So moving on from that to level 7s. I run 1 copy of Shine Greymon Ruin Mode. Enough said. It's Ruin Mode. Both of your top end is yellow, so there's no reason not to. And then aside from him though, we run 2 copies of the new Shine Greymon Burst Mode Ace from BT-17. So this card is actually phenomenal in this deck. Okay, like it goes good. I know it's probably not one of the worst, not as good as aces, I should say, that we got out of BT-17 when it came to the level 7 aces. But with Pulsemon, it's gas. So on play or when digivolving, you can play 1 Tamer card from your hand without paying the cost. Then one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 5,000 DP for the turn for each of your Tamers. So you can drop him for 8, and I've done this many times where I'll drop him for 8 and I'll just like minus 15k. Minus 20k on something, because it's very easy to get like 3 or 4 Tamers out on this board with or on your board with this deck. It's very, very easy. And then on top of that too, you know, he's just a great Ace Evo. If they swing and they don't deal with your Kazuchi or your Shroudmon while it's on board, Ace Evo, DP neg their Digimon, and then it's gone. It's bye-bye. And it's even better if it's an Ace card because you can still turn like that. I've done it multiple times. And then has the bonus as well of 1 attacking by suspending up to 2 of your yellow Tamers. For each one, you gain security tech +1 for the turn. So he can be a big 15k body that can swing for 3 checks. And you don't mind suspending your Tamers because you can swing, suspend them, and then mind link them to a stack and do something with that stack if you needed to. So he's a very, very good, just good card. Now, of course, he doesn't get any of the inheritables because he doesn't have Pulsemon attacks, but you don't need it. He's just works very well with what this deck's doing. And that rounds up our Digimon lineup. Moving on from that, we'll go to the options now. So I only run 5 options total. You can't really run trainings in this deck because all your Pulsemon cards are sort of different colors in different ways, so you'll bottom deck a lot of stuff. But the first option we run here is BT-17 Thunder Flame Crusher. So it's a 6 cost option. While you have a Digimon or Tamer with Pulsemon and text, though, you can ignore its color requirements. It's purple-yellow normally, but then you just don't care. And then when this card would be used, by trashing the top cards from the top, by trashing cards from the top of your security stack, up to having 3 left, reduce the cost by 2 for each card trashed. So you can potentially make this a 2-drop option if you are at 5 security, or even higher. You know, you can reduce it to be even free if you somehow recover past that. I don't really know how you would necessarily with this deck, but you know, I guess if you ruin mode play and they haven't touched your security yet, I guess you could do that. But anyways, and then it has the main effect of deleting one of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon. Then if you have 2 or fewer security cards, place this card at the bottom of your security stack. So it's really nice, whereas it's a very good late game option to just you know, play something, play it, pop something, and then just recover. And its security effect is phenomenal, and the fact that it's security, one of your opponent's Digimon gets minus 15,000 DP for the turn. It's like a Wyvern's Breath out of security. And it's minus 15 is a lot. That's enough to pop majority of stacks in the game, unless you're playing against something that's like Dexter Ugora, like Black Base can get around it, Tyrant can get around it. I guess Wargrey if you run into that, but other things are gonna struggle with it for the most part. And then of course, you know, Magna X exists, but it's, you know, it's Magna X, so nothing hurts that asshole. Anyways, so. But moving on from that, then we run 3 copies of Hacker Pride. which is a new BT-17 option for Pulse. So it's basically a search option. It's a consistency option. So main, reveal top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 card with Pulsemon and its text among them to the hand, return the rest to the bottom of the deck, then place this card in the battle area, and then main delay by placing the top card of one of your level 4 or higher Digimon with Pulsemon and its text on top of your security stack, gain 2 memory. So basically what this means is that you can, Evo up your Pulsemon line, Hacker Pride, place the top card on top of security, and then Evo into it like another level 4 or something like that. So it can make your level 4, like you can cycle your level 4s for like a free Evo, and recover something. In case you're wanting to get like multiple level 4 effects off, if you're maybe trying to get yourself back to 3 security or whatnot, it's very, very nice. And then out of security, you reveal top 3 cards of your deck, add 1 card with Pulsemon and text among them to the hand, return the rest to the bottom of the deck, then place it in the battle area. So it's exactly what its main effect is. So, out of security or when you play it, you're going to be able to get it off, and it's just a nice consistency option that can let you cycle your bodies that you're evoing into and recover some security, and it's very, very good. And then to finish up the deck profile, that's it for the options. We'll go on to the Tamers now. I run 3 copies of the BT-16 Hacker Judge. He's also treated as Leon Alexander as a rule. He's just a memory setter, and then can mind link to anything with Pulsemon and text. And and then all turns while this Digimon has Pulsemon in its text, it gains blocker and barrier, which is perfect. It means that you have an unkillable blocker pretty much for at least by battle. And that's really all it needs to be. That's phenomenal in itself, and it's just a good card. That's good memory setter. And then moving on from that, we run 4 copies of BT-17's Leon Alexander. So he's very, very good. He's a 3-drop tamer. Instead of being a memory setter, he is start of your main phase. If you have a Digimon with Pulsemon and its text, gain 1 memory. And then he can mind link to something with Pulsemon and text, gives the same blocker and barrier, inheritable all turns. This card is insane with it because of how it works. So the cool thing is, because we were talking about this at locals the other night, and a lot of cards that have like if start of main phase, if your opponent has a Digimon in play, gain 1 memory, it's good. They're good effects, but your opponent can play around it. This one your opponent can't play around as easily unless they like ruin mode you and keep it so you can't raise a Digimon. But so he just makes it where if you kept a body on board at the end of turn, or if you're able to push up, you can just proc his memory gain and just start shooting up. Like the amount of times that when I'm playing Pulsemon, I'm able to very easily shoot up to like 5 or more memory off of just like him and the Hacker Judge from BT-16 is insane. It's super consistent. This deck is very, very memory efficient and gains loads of memory. It's awesome, but it's it's got some downsides. So moving on from that, that's the deck. That's everything that's there. I think that it is a very, very good deck with controlling the board. But you've heard me a couple times now go over the fact that it is not very great at aggression. It does not have any security attack +2. All it really has is the level 5's end of attack to unsuspend, which is end of attack. It's not even during the attack. So if something happens to you during the attack to like lock you down or something like that, you're not gonna, you're stuck. Or if your body gets popped, you're just gonna get stuck. It's tough. And it's a once per turn, which is what it should be. If you were able to just keep swinging until you were out of security, your opponent was out of security, it'd be busted. But yeah, that's its one sort of downside, is the deck does not have great tools for aggression. I've done what I can to try and make up enough control for it, so that doesn't matter as much, as well as having things like the burst mode ace, which gives me like multiple security checks, because that's something that I can at least do with that. But overall, the deck is very fun. It's very, very cool. I think it actually is slept on a lot. I was sleeping on it myself until I played it and tested around with it a bit more. I think that it is a deck that that can surprise people. Absolutely. Especially if you don't know the matchup. It can definitely be very, very, very oppressive and hard to deal with. And, it takes I think you'd have to be a good pilot for it. I by no means think I am good at piloting it. I think I am okay. I think I understand the deck at a base level, but there's so many effects that resolve that it's very easy to miss things, and you need to make sure that you're very, very on top of reading your cards and making sure you don't make silly mistakes like I do sometimes. But overall, I love the deck. It's great. I think the only thing it really struggles against are things that have DP reduction protection or battle protection. So like Dex Doragora can be very, very scary for this deck. Tyrant can be a bit of a problem to deal with as well, just because, they're immune to Digimon effects and you don't really have too much to deal with it outside of them hitting a Thunderflame Crusher and security. But I think just about everything else you have a decent chance against and you can do pretty okay. But, that's that's the nature of the game, right? Every deck has its pluses and its minuses, its pros and cons. That's what makes the card game so interesting, and having those, you know, good matchups or bad matchups. But yeah, so that's about it. If you made it this far in the video, thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys had a good time. Hope you guys enjoyed the deck profile. And if you have any, you know, thoughts on the list, anything you think you would run instead, or any adjustments you would make, feel free to do so. I'm excited to see what people do with Pulse, if anybody else cooks with it. I think that the Taki Mikazuchi build is actually still pretty good as well. So I'll be interested to see, you know, if people, you know, want to do that at all, or if that becomes something that's maybe a bit more sort of optimal to run for this. And yeah, as Ben would say, we'll catch you on that flippy flip. Bye-bye.